Hello everybody. How are y'all doing today? Hopefully well. How are you doing, Foxy? Yeah, don't worry, I got your horseshoe grab, my guy. I'm also sitting and waiting for... Hold on. I am waiting for my... Actually, it's charged a good amount. I realized that my iPad was pretty low. I want to say like a couple hours ago, I want to say. And I was just like, well, today's Sunday and we're gonna draw. So we should probably do that. But yeah, welcome in. How you doing, Ratty? Hopefully you're doing well as well. Yeah, it feels like it's been forever since we've done a Sunday chill day. I want to say it's at least a good couple weeks. And you know, reason being, for those that haven't been seeing any of the things that I've been putting out, I recently got a night shift job, and normally I feel like, you know, there's been, you know, an adjustment period to make everything work, but I would have put, you know, some lines in the sand so that it doesn't interrupt all the stuff that we're used to doing. And here's the thing, I did. And they disregarded it, essentially. So the big and short of it is that I, you know, went into the interview for the position and was just like, hey, so two big things that we need to keep in mind here. First, number one, I can't work more than 3 shifts a week because of... Not only am I currently like self-employed, aka what I'm doing here as part of what I do, right? But I am self-employed. Hey Ludo, welcome in. How are you doing on this fine day? So not only, you know, would more than 3 days be problematic to balance everything, but I need to, at least in the US, you have to you can't make too much money or else you get kicked off of the Medicaid. So I was just like, if we do it more than 3 times, I lose my health insurance. And I was just like, we can't do that. Hey Star, welcome in. How are you doing? Man, well, I hopefully some drawing and some good times and some nice chill relaxing Sunday will help your day get a little better. I know and I'm in the middle of telling the story now, but I'm a little frustrated as well. So I'm looking forward to spend some time with y'all. Hey, artists, welcome in. How are you doing? Just in time. We're going to be doing some art soon. I know on my end, I'm going to be catching up on the Dino Blanket, but I'll open up the I'll be opening up the magma for all y'all to enjoy as well. But yeah, so I was how have you been, by the way, artist? Let me know. So during the interview, I was like, okay, so no more than 3 days, because we can't make too much money, but we need to make enough money to cover our bills. And then any more than those 3 days are, you know, it's going to be problematic to like balance everything, because this shift is like 10 to 7, like 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. It is a 10-hour job. No, it's a 9-hour job. Yeah, it's a 9-hour job with a 1-hour full commute. Like, it's gonna eat up a lot of time. And they're like, okay, yeah, that should work. And then they were like, okay, cool. We really need people on Sundays and Wednesdays. And I'm like, cool, awesome. Like, I can make that work. We just started doing the spoiler day Mondays, but maybe we can just have that be like later in the afternoon or something. Like, I can make that work. And then Wednesdays, we don't stream on Wednesdays or Thursdays, so it doesn't get in the way of things. And then just trying to figure out where that third day kind of lands, right? So I was like, cool, everything's good to go. So then I go through my training and all that other kind of stuff, and then suddenly I look on my schedule and I'm for 4 days. And it's every day essentially, but Sundays and Wednesdays. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is the opposite of what they told me. So it turned out when at the end of like my quote unquote training, they asked me, or I thought they asked me, hey, what days can you work? And my answer was Sundays and Wednesdays. And what they were asking was, what days can't you work? And apparently they flipped it, right? So then I let my supervisor know. I'm like, hey, this is not right, obviously. But by that point, they had slotted me for 2 full weeks of 4. And I was just like, oh, and I grit my teeth. I got through it. And that's why, like, especially those 2 weeks, I barely streamed, because essentially I was working a lot. And then this last week, we transitioned from the old schedule to a new one. So then we started doing the 3-day shifts, right? So I'm like, cool, now we have time where now I'm not canceling streams, like we're okay. Like these weeks are 3-day weeks, and like it's actually, yeah, sorry, I that is definitely on my radar. It looks so cool, and I have a really cool idea of how I want to do like a Mamadou costume for it. But hopefully you've been well. I know you say you don't know how you feel, but hopefully you're doing okay. And if not, I hope you're at least I'm gonna make your day just a little better. But so these 3 days are still none of those days that we agreed upon. It's like today, tomorrow, and Friday, and I'm like, okay, so the Sundays we agreed on, but Mondays we didn't, and then Friday we didn't, and it's gonna be the same and then next week they had me on 5, and I was like, what is going on? It's like, this is not what we agreed upon. And I followed up with them, and apparently my supervisor was like on vacation for like 2 weeks. So not only did they set things up and then they're gone, right? But it just like auto-filled, and then no one fixed the problem, like the miscommunication in the beginning. So the computer just spat out like my schedule. It was just like every day but the 2 days like you wanted, and I'm like, no, the other way around. It's the other way. And so then I talked to them Friday. I talked to them Friday and was just like, hey, what's going on? Also, during this period of time, I texted my supervisor twice, no response, ghosted. And I'm like, okay, something might be up here. So then I was like, hey, have you been getting my texts? And they were just like, oh, no, I have like 3 phones. And I'm like, oh, well, am I texting the right one? Apparently I wasn't. So I talked to him and was like, hey, can we do... It's so good. Ooh, good to know. Good to know. Your keyboard's being weird. No, not your keyboard. Is it old? Is it like one of those $20 wireless ones? Because I got one. That was like my first one that I used for years. Those were actually like pretty decent keyboards. Every single like mechanical keyboarder just threw up in their mouth a little bit. But so I go up and talk to her, and was just like, hey. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you was the schedule, and I was like, can we make it Sunday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays from now on? And she was just like, sure. And then this is where I messed up a little bit. And I was like, well, one of the bigger reasons I wanted to confirm this day is because like I've been being put on Fridays like every week. So it's like, so it seems like y'all are really busy Friday, so I wanted to talk about it. And she's just like, actually, now that you've mentioned it, we do need you more on Fridays, so I'm gonna move Sundays to Fridays for you. And I'm like, why did I have to open my damn chungus mouth? And of course, instead of just, you know, reinforcing my boundaries that I just set, I'm just like, yeah, we can see how that goes, and then we can kind of come back and discuss how that's going for us. Like immediate like corpo speak of just like, yeah, no, let's just immediately bending my boundaries for other people again. I'm working on it, okay? The fact that I even had this discussion is already an advancement in my maturity, all right? So So then, it's my phone keyboard. It's not letting me type. No! Is there maybe like something on your screen, like a little droplet of water or something? Because that always throws off like the touch screen. If there's even like a little bit of precipitation or anything that's like on the screen consistently, it will like mess it up. So check that. So then I was like, okay, you know, fine. We could try the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe Saturdays won't be too bad, which is why we also did a stream yesterday. Even though I had an overnight shift the night before, because at least it seemed like the foreseeable, like next month, I'm going to be having a Friday shift, and I don't want to cancel my Saturday streams for the next month. And then, God, this is where my day got worse. I woke up to a notification on my phone that my schedule has been changed. And I'm like, cool, great. They've listened to my feedback. We're good to go. I look at it, and they changed that 5-day work week to 4. Not back to 3. And it was hold on, I'll even pull it up right now. It's like the days that we even talked about weren't even on there. Those like the ones that we even talked about weren't even on there, man. Yeah, it was, we talked about Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, right? They already had me on Tuesday. So they now have me Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So here's also the thing. So this is what they explained to me. All right. This is what they explained to me as far as the whole shift thing and why it is considered an open availability versus closed availability. Apparently, if you have a closed availability on your schedule, you're seen as one of the first people to get cut as far as being fired. So they said, like, even though we had that discussion, like, the reason that I couldn't just have, like, a closed one, hey, Dragon, welcome in! I'm ranting about my job. The reason we couldn't have you just, like, close it immediately is because if there's even any indication that we need to cut anybody, you would be first on the chopping block. And I'm like, okay, so you're trying to protect my position by leaving it open and trying to make things work. That is appreciated and understandable, right? And then and then also I learned that if you have closed availability, it go as far as choosing who is going to be working on particular days. It goes in the list of priorities: full-time employees, part-time open availability employees, then part-time closed availability employees, in that order. AKA, if I restrict certain days to work, there is a good possibility, well, I won't get called in at all, and I just won't get to work, at least for those days. And, you know, I was just like, okay, we talk about employment, yeah. That's what I'm discussing now, is like them kind of explaining to me, like, the reason we're doing it this way is so because it's either you have it open and then you make it work, or you have it closed and there's a possibility where you just don't get to work. And I very much, hold on, I feel like there was a knock on my door. I don't know what I heard. Weird. Anyway, so what was I saying? It was about open stuff. Anyways. Oh, good. Tell them I said hi. Hello, Dragon's friend. Yeah, no worries, no rush. I don't want to take you away from socializing, so you enjoy yourself. I'll see you in a bit. So basically, long story short is that everything was kind of left open so that it would kind of protect my job. At least so they say. So we had this huge conversation. We had that whole discussion, and we agreed Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. even though Friday was me bending my boundaries because I can't help it. And then with them not changing it to what we discussed again, right after we had a second discussion about it, I am now convinced that there's one more like peace was not peace offering. What's the thing where it's like it's showing olive branch? One last olive branch. Oh wow, there's a DLC for that game too? Already? Or is it just... Oh no, I thought it was one of those ones where you could pay a little extra and you can get the DLC for the future. I believe that's the case, Star. I could be wrong, but double check me. This Friday, because they make the schedule like 3 weeks in advance, right? So these last two were made while my supervisor was like out. So someone else made it. It was probably like someone else who weren't fully, let's say communication isn't necessarily the best thing in this place. And I'm willing to give a little bit of a caveat with that. But this upcoming Friday will be the first one that she makes the schedule, right? So if that schedule is not exactly what we discussed as far as Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, right? If it is not that, then I am then completely convinced that they are 100% disregarding my boundaries as far as making this work. And at that point, what I'm going to do, because listen, your boy needs some money, unfortunately. As far as my situation with, my living situation and all that, unfortunately, this is not one of those things where I could just get up and quit immediately. But what it does mean is that I'm no longer willing to be flexible. So, unfortunately, fortunately/unfortunately, the place that I work has a 90-day restriction where the employee cannot decide when their availability. My 90 days ends like May 15th. So by me saying that, it's basically saying like, okay, we're gonna wait till Friday. We're gonna power through this week. It's still a 3-day week, so it's not terrible. Next week and the week after apparently are 4, and 3 weeks, and then we'll see hopefully that they will adjust the next week appropriately. And if not, on May 15th, I'm telling them my availability is only Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're just gonna have to deal with it. There's no more flexibility. There's no more being like, hey, I'm willing to work. No. And if it's one of those things where it's just like, well, I don't know how often you're going to be able to get those positions, my response is going to be, then why in the world did you tell me that you needed people for these days if I'm not even being slotted in? So it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, we discussed this twice. It took me almost a month and a half in order for me to even get a work phone. I've given you more than enough generosity. It's time to not even like enforce boundaries. Now it's just being like, cool, now I'm gonna be difficult. I'm gonna be inflexible. Imagine like Mama Dodo is dating my their raptor. Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh. Listen, Reddy, I have no control over your version of Mama Dodo. Your version of Mama Dodo is their own separate existence of who Mama Dodo is. You can just have them kind of do and be whatever. And I've mentioned it before as far as like making your own OCs and making your own like cannons and stuff. Like, by all means, go for it. It doesn't mean it's going to become canon. And I think when I mentioned anything as far as like 18 plus related as far as lore stuff and things that I make. As long as you keep it as like a separate thing from like the main thing, then I don't really care. Mama Dodo to the Dodoverse. I mean, technically every costume is canon. It's a different reality and version of what Mama Dodo would look like in that particular setting. So, pretty good. Oh, Ratty, can you send us what Mama Dodo looks like in Tamagotchi Life? Because I am genuinely curious what she looks like. Because as far as I'm aware, there's no like protrusions that you can do. So what does even the beak even look like? When she would do it. All right, a little enough yapping. Let's open the gates for magma. Yeah. Let's see here. There we are. And just smack them together until they fell in love. I mean, that'll do it. But I mean, you can kind of do the same thing with people to a certain degree. Grandma Dodo, but it's just grandmother from SpongeBob. That's really funny. That's really funny, honestly. Hey, if you got some points, you could put that as a redeem as a Mama Dodo costume suggestion. I have plans to start catching up on that. Copy link. Pin magma code. Please let this go through. Hey, let's go. There's the code. Hell yeah. I will add her now. Grandma Dodo from SpongeBob, but with a beak. Hilarious. I love it. All right, so we have the magma code up. It is pinned on the top of the stream. Let's go ahead and get the magma little discrepancy here. Respect TOS and keep it PG-13 as always. I am also gonna set up the iPad for drawing. Your island is just a Game of Thrones cast and me chilling. That's really funny though. You haven't thrown anyone else into the Game of Thrones universe yet? That takes some self-restraint. That takes some commitment. I'm proud of you for that one. All right, let's see here. I think I actually unplugged my cord too. Yeah, I straight up unplugged it. But that's okay. Your boy needs to charge as well, so that's what should be enough for today's stream, hopefully. Let's see, where is it? Got blood. I got that one. Two of my OCs, they're exception because they're my children. So real. That's so real. Ooh, Game of Thrones fan art? What is it between? Wait, isn't this the... Wait, didn't you tell me about this? I feel like you did. I feel like you told me about this. Let me know if y'all are getting a weird glitch. Because I am. Sent? Ooh, hold on. I gotta see this. Can I show it on stream? Oh my god. Can I? There's a little bit of a reflection. Do you want me to show it on screen or is that a no? Because you do have a little bit of your reflection. Just double checking. If you think about it, the watermelon is just a human skull. What? It's so not. No. No, it's not. Not even a little bit. Not even a little. Oh, maybe if you're a cannibal or a zombie, sure. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. Boop. And for those wondering what Mama Dodo looks like. It's so good. It's so good. I love her. You did such a good job, especially with the eyes. The eyes and the hair. Bruh. Bruh. Props to the chef. Oh my gosh. All right. Where we got this. We're moving the keyboard over yonder, so we have room to draw. My desk is small. Ah, no problem, no problem. All right. Plug it in the iPad. And with that, we can have... Oh, come on. I don't know why I have to reset my Elgato every time. But I do. I don't think we need Wi-Fi on. I could be wrong, but you want me to make a video showing how she sounds? Honestly, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really good. Let's see here. Fine, I'll turn on that for that. Boop, 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 boop. Closing every other application just in case when I show it on screen. And do not say it's fine. Boop. That's the little one. This is the new Mama Doodoo costume for Peak, by the way. Actually, this was my attempt to copy their style. I did an okay job. I think there was too much line art to truly copy their style. Their style didn't have any line art. All right. So what do we got? So we have a couple things. We have a couple of things that we need to tackle. In particular, we have, with not counting the horseshoe crab redeems, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different dinos to add. So let's go ahead and open up our guy. Chill Mama Dodo. Oh, we should probably switch to Chill Mama Dodo, shouldn't we? Oh, and feel free that if you don't see the costume that you want to switch to, but you know we have access to it, you're welcome to redeem it and then, like, tell me to switch to a particular one. Let's do eye open. There we are. Look at... Wait, what? What? Oh, is it because... No. Elgato, why did you stop working? What's going on? Jeez. Elgato, I need to, like, spend a day, once I have a day to spend, going through and fixing the broken things on the stream. I have yet, like, the bumps broken. I want to say, like, slowly the things that are, like, interacting with my OBS to make cool stuff has slowly stopped functioning. I have to manually get Big Brother, like, Task Manager to, like, stop. Just like, stop it. Stop it. Love eating things off the street. Do you mean street food? Please tell me you mean street food. And not anything else. And not by what you said. All right, let's while we're trying to fix the Elgato, let's look at the video. Hold on. Let's see if y'all can hear it as well. Let me know if y'all can also hear it. Oh my god. Can y'all hear it? Can y'all hear it at all? Let's see. I have so many audio devices. Oh my gosh. You can hear it? Okay. One more time. That's what she sounds like, huh? Listen, I'm not here to tell you that it's canon, but I'm certainly not gonna tell you that that's damn close. All right, let's try again with the 4K capture card. Come on, Elgato. What's going on with? Okay, you're now working, and now I have to reselect. I have to do like this weird nonsense. Come on. There we go. My God, it's not rocket science. Come on, please. Please. Anyway, as you can see, these little specks here, they are not tadpoles. They are indeed horseshoe crabs. Bah, bah, bah. And by the way, the thing about horseshoe crabs, they don't come out in the wash. They're staying. You can't wash those out. They're there for a swim otherwise. You tried making yourself like a bird. I think you did a good job. I think you did a very good job. And in fact, with the horseshoe crab stuff, we have to add 14 more of these little guys. I think currently, hold on, let's check our blanket right now. Yeah, we're at 15. We are at 15 small ones, and we're gonna add 14 more. So we're gonna have 29. We're gonna have 29 horseshoe crabs. Technically 30. We're gonna have 30 horseshoe crabs, including the original. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do? Oh, it's doing it again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So your boy got a new pin tip for their pin. Let me grab it because my pin tip is like messing up. Is she seriously? Can y'all hear a vacuum? Is she seriously vacuuming right now? I'm streaming. What do you mean? Why is she vacuuming? She might have like dropped something or something, maybe. I don't know. All I can say is I took my headphones off and I'm like, are you serious? Do you mind? Alright. Let's see here. Got a new package for a new pen tip for my Apple Pen. Only reason I got an Apple Pen is because I got like Apple money rebate for buying like the iPad, and it was enough to like cover the cost of the pen, so I was like, why not? Alright. So now I have the tip. Okay. So let's see if this will fix the problem. So here's the thing. It's either it's a problem with my screen protector or the tips of the pen. I am hoping, fingers crossed, that it's the tips of the pen because that's cheaper to replace. As far as what screen protector that I have hold on. Looking at the receipt. I am looking at his AstroPad. Oh, it's the rock paper pencil. For those that don't know that one, they make textured screen protectors that are like magnetic for your iPad stuff. I've really enjoyed it. It really does make it feel like paper. Granted, I think as of late it hasn't really done it. Jesus is for so. Does that include the eggs? Is that part of the lore? Alright, let's see here. Why can't I pick this up? Alright. It's screwed on perfectly fine. It's a little discolored, but we're here. And let's see if there's any issues. Seems very responsive. Seems good to me. Okay. So this one is going to be called crab. That's the crab layer for you know, no particular reason. Alright, so now, not underneath crab, we want to be over the crab. So the first thing that we're going to do, let me know if, I mean, I can probably just see it. So this is going to do, we're going to do baryonyx. Baryonyx wasn't already on there, right? Don't see it. So let's pull up, another, there we go. Alright, it looks like everything's still going. Perfect. So I can still use like references and stuff like that. Baryonyx. Baryonyx. And this feels blasphemous to say. Nah, never mind. Baryonyx doesn't look like Spinosaurus. It looks similar. It looks like Spinosaurus's like youngest kid, where it's just like they give little kid energy, like youngest sibling. My God, you get like youngest sibling energy. All right, so we got that, and then Baryonyx. Skellington. That one's a little more up our alley because, well, our skeleton showing. Should we have? They are both Spinosauroids. They are. But here's the thing. Do we want the Baryonyx near the Spinosaurus that we already have, or do we want to make it symmetrical and put it on the other side? I don't know. This one's kind of funny. I do kind of like this, where we have like two. Listen. I feel like I'm gonna get flamed here. Nearly identical pterosaurids. Like looking at each other and being like, okay. Symmetry? Alright. Symmetry it is. Okie dokie. Then let's put him right here. This seems like a good spot. When did we cut off the first one? As far as blanket goes. I don't remember. When we make annual blankets, when do we want the cutoff period? Do we want it the cutoff period of the first time we do it? Do we want to do it where it was the first, like the stream, 24-hour stream thing? Or do we want, sorry, there's something on the screen that I'm scratching off. Or do we want it where it's like, affiliate anniversary? Not the name. I was gonna say the name looks very different. Open image, a new tab. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Oxalea, I think. Let me Google it. Oxalea. Oh wow, you're right. It's not a Spinosaurid? It's not a Spinosaurus? What's the difference? Yeah, it is. They're so similar. Hold on. Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all what the hell. Look at this. Spinosaurus is one. I mean, this might be just a bad example because I think they just copy pasted it. But like, bro, what? It's the same guy. Mealy getting like assassinated from all the Spino heads out there being like, it's not the same. It's not the same. Then how do we know it wasn't just younger? How do we know it just wasn't like a teenage Spino? Or like a young adult? Like, how do we know it's a completely different species just because it was a little smaller? I could point to a crowd of people that are a little smaller than me. It doesn't mean that they're a different species. Baryonyx was a revolution because it gave us an idea what a Spinosaurus body plan looked like. That's true. It's true. It looks similar because we have very few bones, so it's basically Spinosaurus field cap. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. It's kind of like we're just filling in of like it. I mean, it probably looks like a Spinosaurus. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that reasoning as far as why it looks exactly the same, because essentially it is a copy paste Spinosaurus, but it's copy paste Spinosaurus TBD. It's Spinosaurus TBD, where it will like become something different once we get more that we can like know what it looks like. But until then, it's just like it's just little bits and pieces. Okay, all right, I'm fine with this. With a bunch of Spinosaurides. Have I shared it with you? What do you? School pro. I'm gonna need. Yeah. I don't think you shared this with me. I think you need to tell me. Because what it kind of gives the impression of is that you went to school with a bunch of dinosaurs. And then that's already very interesting. There's a guy on DeviantArt that does really good dinosaur scale comparisons, but the human he uses in scale are like, oh, I saw that. I saw it on a reel where it's like someone being like, the girl is like in heels. And they're like, why is this person's references always, which honestly, that's awesome. That's so fucking funny. Just have the reference, it would just be on people. It'd just be like, oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. Send it, send it. Let's see. Let's do, oh, right. No. So we do want this. So we want a little bit of that. The neck is a little kind of like that. And then get that little bit of a lip, the little not really even like a cleft palate, but you know. There we go. Oh, wait. Sorry. Boop. Boop. My bad, y'all. That reference is for me. Get your own reference. And then you. There we go. Y'all might be wondering, it's like, why are you making this so big? It's like, I'm gonna make them smaller. But to me, I like to draw like the most identifying features of the dinos. Like for the Spino, you want the sail, so you like kind of want this whole thing. For the Baryonyx, for the most part, there isn't anything super crazy with the rest of it. So I was kind of thinking where it's like we can have the head. Hold on, let's see what this looks like here. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, I love them. Am I allowed to show them on stream? Do I have your permission to show this awesome dragon art on stream? You can say no. Okay. Look at them. Look at these. Look at the designs. So good, dude. Look at it. What's your favorite? I like this one a lot. That one being upside down is really funny. Tropical fish pattern? Yeah, tropical fish pattern's really good. That one's really, really good. Clownfish is also really good. And see, this is what I mean when I talk about how I want to redesign the summons. So we can actually like keep the what do you call it? Like the patterns. Like we could play with the patterns a bit, because currently it's just gonna be purple in different shades of purple, which we can do a lot with. Don't get me wrong, we can do a lot with different shades of purple. But well, maybe we shouldn't. You know? Sure, it's a bit of a shame, but that doesn't mean that we can't imagine what they would have looked like when they were alive, right? Maybe that's kind of like the cost of being undead, is that your designs that made you unique were only when you were alive. You know? Oh my god, that was way too big. I'm not ignoring it. I'm loving it. Hey, Scallion. Technically, because it's like a paleo thing, I am willing to accept it as an add to Dino Blanket redeem. If you want to spend your points doing that. because it's technically paleo. It's technically like paleontologists. They put this together. So I'm just saying. All right. What was the name of the dude again? It was hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it was Madge Bird Unicorn. Hell yeah. Funny enough, what I was planning on, the weird creature from the 1600s, right? Excuse me. Sorry. Oh gosh, I have loud sneezes. And this pollen be brutal. I went on a nice, it was like, you know the kind of walks where it's like it's about to rain, so you can smell rain. It gets nice and cool, and it like feels really nice and good. And then the wind's starting to pick up a little bit, and then the wind like goes up right when I was walking by my neighbor's house. My neighbor had this huge oak tree that just proceeded to just dump all of its pollen everywhere. So the wind picked up, and I just get smacked in the face with all this pollen. It was a problem. Petrichor, right? Petrichor? Anyway, I love the smell. I love the smell. Get a little bit of that. A little bit of petrol. No, petrol is different. I think petrol is dinosaurs that have been compressed. And then honestly, let's have it so it's a little bit kind of like that. Man, they gave this one like legs. There we go. Petrol does make things blow up. This is true. Be careful around petrol. Also be careful around a lot of things. Me learning about potassium in water. I think I made the head a little too big. Let's get this guy's head a little bit smaller, yeah? Let's kind of like, yeah. Yeah, that's better. That's a little better. Oh, back of mud, eh? Like down it kind of gives like a little bit of just like, oh, come here, sonny. Get a little bit of that out of the way. Did I move this accidentally or something? It's fine. It's fine if I did. There's a little baryonyx. That's a little better. Love me some X-Files. I need to go back and watch it, dude. I need to go back and watch it, because, like... Okay, that's not it. Where are you? I think you are it. Yeah, that's... Are you? Yeah, it is. Okay. Just making sure. It just looked a little different. Yeah, no, like... X-Files, like just listening, being like do 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 when I was a kid, and I was just like and then you. There we are, and then gotta give a little bit, kind of a little bit of that. That's a little much. Just kind of like just a little. Just enough to get a little tease. Where are your horseshoe crabs? Your horseshoe crabs are currently here, like a little spread out everywhere. But you have 14 more coming today. Don't you worry. We're gonna get those last because it needs to fill in the space. You know what I mean? And then I forget what the name of this little bone is, but apparently the bone is to help have the eye like stay in the head. It's weird. So you can buy more horseshoe crabs. Actually, he could afford so many horseshoe crabs, but I've limited his ability to purchase horseshoe crabs more than one a day. Because otherwise I would get hundreds of the redeems of this. If he wants all these horseshoe crabs, he's gotta earn it. Doctor a couple days ago and the floor was just horseshoe crabs. No, like the first time when we started this whole horseshoe crab thing, he used, I want to say, like, he went up to like 10 or 11 in one go, and I was just like, I need to put a damper on this now or it will be the only thing that will happen. Ad break, everybody. So get some water, get some food, stretch, do what you need to do. I'm probably gonna get a little bit of exercise in. Oh gosh. Oh. I feel like Foxy feels like Eisen in the last season of Bleach, just like bound to a chair, but he like lets him have just enough of his power back to be useful. Any Bleach fans out there know what the hell I'm talking about? Y'all are like, what the hell is Unk talking about? Alright, time to exercise even just a little bit. Every syllable of Momodona's name is a musical note. Oh. Actually, I didn't consider that. That's actually really cool. That's interesting. A little bit. Exercise. Just a little bit. Oh, it's Fafa. Next redeem. Instead of Mama Dodo, it's Fafa Dodo, and it's just Mama Dodo made of musical notes. Can it be Lala Dodo? Ooh, it's true. It could be Lala Dodo. This one is gonna be put over there. But draw Mama Dodo, does that mean that she is now Magma Dodo? I guess technically, yeah. Welcome back, by the way. And then got that. Oh, it needs to be back here. I see another bone right here. I don't know if that's an artistic whatever, but it's there. And now we have the little teeth. Why does this look like a face that Courage the Cowardly Dog would have made? Right before he laughs, where he's just like, ha 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 ha. Like, it's this kind of like crazy being like, I'm here to, this is my portfolio to work in Cartoon Network in the 90s. They're like, my God, get this man into the Courage and Cowardly Dog suite right now. All right. Kind of like, well, let's get the line first. Just kind of like this. Kind of like that. There we go. Boom, boom. But yeah, hopefully y'all have been having a good week so far. I've been struggling with this whole work thing, so I don't really have too much to talk about. I started moving on to starting my commissions. I talked about it last time. Honestly, the line made sense to do, but the discontinued spine, we're just gonna have to wing it. Come on, where are you? Alright, see you in a bit, Ludo. Talking about 10 down Richie Rich and Asterisk to my friends, and literally nobody knows about it, right? Well, I mean, it was a different age. It was a different time, you know? It's been a hot minute. And then we just kind of see, like, the pressure seems a little bit off there. There we go. See, it's a little better. Hell yeah. Please finish it. Granted, no pressure if you can't or don't. But I would love to see it nonetheless, to see it finished. And then I remember saying like, oh, I love doing the little paleo whatever, because then I don't need to draw every bone. I can be like, oh no, they're fragmented. Yeah, totally. It's like, I noticed you don't draw like certain bones ever. And it's like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Man, that's nuts. And then, whoop. There we are. There we go. No, it's not like the crab with the golden claws came out in the 1940s. Right? I don't even know what that is. Gotta have the ribs, gotta have the second ribs. I don't know what the ribs that kind of extend down would be called, but there we go. Look at that baryonyx. Okay, yeah. Alright, there is your baryonyx in the bottom right, ready to for you to like wake up from your half comatose state in the middle of the night, and then in the dimly lit light you see this monstrosity just leaning up against your eyes, and you're just like, oh! Oh gosh. Ooh, we have a job now, which means I can actually order the first blanket to make sure that it looks good and feels good for y'all. Because that was one of the bigger hang-ups for the annual blanket stuff, was that I didn't want to make it available unless I knew it was a decent quality. Granted, I could have released it, you know, regardless, and just let y'all know, like, hey, please let me know if it's good quality or not, because this is the first, and I couldn't afford it, but now I can. Foxy, were you the one who made that little Doda down there? That's so funny. That's so funny. Foxy. So you can't afford. How many points do you have? How many points do you have on channel points that you in total? Let's see. We want. See, this is another reason why I need it. 14K. I would have more if I didn't buy horseshoe crabs every day. Wait, you do have enough for another costume. What are you talking about? How? It's only 5K to make a costume. It certainly wasn't 15K to make a costume, I can tell you that much. I think the reason that you can't do it... Oh, 1.4K. I'm gonna make you a deal. Because I really like Fafa Dodo. I'm gonna make you a solid. I'm gonna do you a solid. We already have, unfortunately, Scallion, we already have Horseshoe Crab Mama Dodo. Do you want to spend those points to make Fafa Dodo instead? Or Lala Dodo? What are we calling it? Or do you want me to redeem those points? I can do either way. Fafa Dodo. Joke's on you. I was willing to do it for free. That I was literally in the statement of being like, you know what? Because I like Fafa Dodo so much, I'll just put it in there. Too late though. Now your points are mine. Plus, it makes it more official. It really does. Y'all have been really. I need to. Yeah. Well, honestly, that's on me. I need to have better ways for y'all to spend your points, because the costume redeem ones, with some exceptions, are usually a one and done kind of deal. I was, but then Scallion was like a real bro about it. So, like, deal's off the table. It's already done. Someone literally cut you in line, and you were just like, oh man, it's like, actually we have a coupon that we can do, and then someone cut you in line and was just slapped the money on the table. It was just like, give me everything, like, I'm gonna pay for all his groceries. Like, you don't get the coupon anymore. You got a free meal. You're good. You're set. But also the Fafa Dodo in the bottom left corner is genius. And like my brain immediately went to Fafa Dodo, where I would link the animation so that the dodo would appear at the musical note that I am speaking. I think that would be really cool if we could find a way to do it. All right, Star, thank you for stopping by. Wonderful seeing you again. Have a good one. Bye-bye. See you. And I slap fuck other two to pay for the people I meet. Exactly. But you know what? That's what I like. That's one of the reasons why I like about this community. It's like, hey, I have this really cool idea, but I don't have enough points. There are people in here that are just like seed investors that are just waiting for people to have like cool ideas to move forward with, and they're just like, that guy's idea is now like ready to go. Gosh, that's really funny to think about. It's like a seed investors and shit. Oh my gosh. All right. So we got Baryonyx done. Do we not have Therizinosaur? That must have been the other blanket, because we definitely had Therizinosaur at one point. Alright, Therizinosaur. Where would I want you? I think I would want you... I kind of like the idea where it's in the arms. I got funding while I was negotiating a deal. Exactly. There's a lot of flyers on this one. Good on y'all. Either flying or gliding dinos, or just straight up flyers. Where would be a good spot? There's the little arrowhead boy himself. We're gonna have to make something smaller, which I don't mind in the slightest. Honestly, let's move this guy. There you are. We're gonna move them kind of like right there. Perfect. Because by the way, the new tip is exactly what I needed. I have no issues drawing on this now. Oh, I forgot. I forgot the saw guy is also down here. FYI, the real blanket, a lot of these are like cut off. I'll probably fill these out. Like at the actual blanket. I originally want to do like a whole like lore video and stuff like that for it, and I still do, and I probably still will, but my god, is that so much further down the line that I'm like, it's gonna be year 5 before we, like the 5th blanket before we actually get reasons to do it, so I might as well just release it anyway. You know what I mean? Give me that. Why not? Why? Alright, so now we're gonna have the Therizinosaur. On the hands, because that's really funny. Doesn't deserve it. Oh gosh, I forget how nightmarish these things look, kinda. Like, look at this guy and tells me that he has not been through it. Look at this dude. He's just like, oh no. That guy is in the 8th circle of hell. I think it's because whoever drew this was like, did it very detailed. And the more detail you add to something, the more scary it looks. I don't know, like you get into Uncanny Valley kind of deal. Imagine getting straight teeth during like 2026. Where's getting gay teeth? You know what I mean? Where's that? Let's do... We'll just do it this way. I see the grandma on the bottom left. It's so funny. This little horseshoe crab is like, oh, please. And then we give it a little boop. Then, oh, this one needs a little bit more, kind of like that. Yeah, that's better. Got that. Do you like the abomination I'm drawing? Let me take a closer look at it. It's an agilliform? What is an agilliform? And why does that sound like what's up dog kind of? I don't know what that is. Let's Google this, not on stream. That is not. I caps locked it. Oops. Form. Oh, it's like an eel. It's like a long eel. Shaped like or resembling an eel. Got you. So, because I was gonna say, like, it looked like a guy, but it's almost like, what's that guy from Jujutsu Kaisen who has, like, the worm that, like, stores swords in its gullet? And it's like a dude, but he has, like, this thing wrapped around his neck, and then he, like, as, like a quote-unquote pet, or, like, a scarf. It's kind of like one of those, it's like a grosser version of the stereotype of the rich lady with the fox fur on her neck, but the fox is alive. No good internet. No! Skill issue! Oh no. That's funny. Where is... Here we go. There's that. Let's make sure. Okay, good. It's still moving around. I just wanted to make sure that y'all are still getting like the updated version of people drawing stuff. Kind of the whole point. Oh, let's give it a little bit of a dip. Well, yeah, seriously, why did they make this thing screaming? They really did. It's just like, this thing has seen your sins and did not have the did not survive the wisdom saving throw to like stand it. And then you. This just looks like a zombie. Zombie Therizinosaur. Ooh. Zombie Will Robinson. Zombie. I think that movie, I don't even remember the name of it, with the Will Robinson stuff, where the guy got bit by metal spiders and then became a giant spider. I think that scared me as a kid. I think that did something. So this thing is essentially like just thick vertebrae all the way down. into like a medium shaped. Yeah. The spines don't even like come out until like right here. And then... Oh! Don't worry, no one saw that. And then I gotta have both of these. There we go. Gotcha. Got both the ribs, and then this one is just straight up like that. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually kind of get a little bit of this fat off the neck a little bit. Yeah, that's the Therizinosaur. This little horseshoe crab is just like, help! Help, please! Please help me. Don't worry, I got you, little guy. You're up there now. Ah, please! We can have fun with these horseshoe crabs too, by the way. Have them kind of like swimming between, like almost getting eaten by the mouths, and like just really play with it. Uh-oh. 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 Oopsies. Who did I combine this with? I know who I did. Yep. Alright, come here. There we go. Copy. Paste. Alright. Looks good to me. Cool. Excellent. Which means on this one, we're gonna erase it. I actually saved it on another guy's layer. There you go. Okay. We're good. We're fine. Welcome back. Did you hear me talking about like the eel and how it feels comparable to that guy from Jujutsu Kaisen with the like larva thing that eats swords? So the impression that I got from your current character was like a more gross is a bad terminology, but a more scary form of the stereotypical rich white woman who has fox fur but the fox is alive. Anyway, well, if you didn't, there it is again. Got 30 horseshoe crabs. We can have some whimsy with some. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm gonna have my whimsy with these horseshoe crabs. I'm gonna have my whimsy with all of these. If the whimsy is there. Sorry, I can't with the grandma, dude. It's so funny. The grandma is so funny. I actually really like it. You have a good brain for this kind of stuff, Foxy. Gotta say, the Fafa Dodo and the SpongeBob Grandma Dodo are like solid picks. This is your reminder to stay hydrated, by the way. Okay, so we have that. So let's go do another one. Boop. Oh, I bet you. Let's go all the way up here. Yeah, let's just go up there with it. All right, so sorry if you heard that. Therizinosaurs? Done. Utyrannus. We got Utyrannus next. We have the Amargasaurus. Hold on, let me check the Amargasaurus. I have a feeling I know what this one looks like. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, the punk rock sauropod. Thanos Dodo with 5 Infinity Rocks. I make it so that there's a redeem that she snaps her fingers and there's a 50-50 chance she just becomes sand. Let me know if y'all hear the Discord noise, by the way. I tried to find streamer mode for the Discord in the browser, because I have my personal Discord and the stream Discord open. I have to do it that way. But for whatever reason, streamer mode was not there where it used to be. I don't know what they did with it, but they did something. All right, let's see here. We want you, Tyrannus, which is just fluffy T-Rex. So cute, so adorable, so demure. That's how the blanket would be if you never limited my horseshoe crabs. Exactly. It would just be sand, but every piece of sand is actually a horseshoe crab. It would be really funny to just make an art piece and it's just wall-to-wall horseshoe crabs, and then I just called it Foxy's masterpiece. And it's just overlapping of different sized horseshoe crabs from top to bottom. It would be pretty funny. I did say I'm opening commissions, so, you know, if you hire me and it's just like, hey, I want you to make an illustration of just nothing but horseshoe crabs, well, I'm not saying no, I'm gonna say no to that. But then you'd get your horseshoe crab fix, and then you would stop this bit, and that would make me sad. You see the crater that was just massive horseshoe crabs? No, I did not. They just found like a horseshoe crab crater? Where was it? Excuse me. I'm actually thinking, let's see here. Let's see here. No, we want the opposite. We want subtraction. There we go. There we are. We still have our little buddy here. There we go. I want the Tyrannus here. Since I started my horseshoe crab fixation, I'm only getting horseshoe crabs. I'd like to think that I played a part of this in which I feel very happy about. But to be fair, as far as obsessions go, it's pretty good. Oh right, the crater. Yeah. I see what you mean. What were the tiles for? Were the tiles also? The tiles that you sent me? Is that horseshoe crabs? What is that? Hold on. Now I'm in the Discord just liking people's art. My bad. Hold on. I'm back. Arrive. Me hit with the Garfield effect daily now. Is that what it's called? The Garfield effect? Because I know it was an effect of some kind. I just don't remember what it was called. Okay, so what we want, let's make sure that this is nothing, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Yang horseshoe crabs? Yeah. Well, also, like, half circles are, like, very common. It's a very pleasing shape. Well, also, if you overlap them, they become a horseshoe crab shape, right? What we'll do is that we'll do kind of like this, a little bit of horn, kind of like this. Kind of like that. And then, but what we're gonna do is that we're gonna kind of add some fluff to it. There we go. Give some texture. You know what I mean? There we go. Get the little bit of hump. It's a little narrow. The snout is a little narrow. Kind of like that. Kind of like... Kind of like that. Kind of like that. A little more. Kind of like... That's better. That's better. I was sick and maybe dying, and I see this fucking horseshoe crabs on the floor. I also like to think that the horseshoe crabs were just like the key to immortality for you. Domain expansion. Horseshoe crab sanctuary. Here, my domain. We are timeless as the amazing horseshoe crab, immune to all devastation and apocalyptic effects since the beginning of time. They do like the anime thing where they're like, they're not saying anything, they're just making noises. Oh my gosh. It would be really funny. It would be really funny though. Oop. Well, guess not. Guess I'm not filling that in. It's fine. We're working at such small scales that coloring it in is actually not that bad. Plus, we don't have to worry about line art, which is nice. There you go. If I'd be a furry, my future would be a horseshoe crab. Go for it. Why not? I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Honestly, I kind of like what you're doing, Scallion. I think you're hating yourself a little too much. I really dig it. Throw that inside like any kind of like horror situation, any like horror anime thrown in there, it's gonna fit right in. I really like it. I think like it looks like it belongs in a painting of like there's a war happening in the background, and then there's like an animal that you have no freaking idea what the animal is, and they give it like that weird human like face attached to it, and they're just like, obviously this person doesn't know how to draw animals. Not that I'm saying you don't, but I think like it belongs on a painting. I think you're too hard on yourself. I really like it. I really, really do. Just something about it, I'm just like, that's perfect. But like, and you know, again, I'm not a furry, so I don't know this. So I can't tell you that this is going to be the case. But I don't think you need to be a furry to have a fursona. I finally chose a beat for Frog Jacket. Ooh, what are you thinking? It's from Fallen London, by the way. Oh, I remember you talking about it for a long time. Did you finally beat it? Go, and then there we go. It's gonna take me like 2 years. Ah, it's one of those games, huh? Are you still actively playing it, or did it run its course and you're just like, okay, it's good. That was a great ride. That was great. Cool. Glad I did that. Anyway. Hell yeah. Well, good. I gotta give this guy some teeth. Gotta get this guy some chompers. There he's like, oh, sorry. Were you in the bathroom? Like, oh, my, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me. I like the different like faces where it's just like, oh, he's like embarrassed. He looks like he is on drugs. This guy looks like he's super embarrassed. This guy doesn't have a soul. This guy looks like he's judging you, kind of. I don't know. I cannot explain. I will not take any questions. This guy, there's been a clip going around. Is it a Pixar movie? It's like some kind of movie where there's a shark being carried by seagulls. And it's just like, this is just a horror movie. And then it's just like, okay. And then like there's a moment where the shark is just like, yep, that's the guy we gotta kill. Teehee. Like, oh, you better watch out over there. That's the guy I need to kill. You don't need to get in the way. Like very like just like very polite, but very just like, I'm gonna kill somebody. And then it's just like, I'll be right back. And then slowly her eyes become black. And as the shark instincts takes over her frontal lobe, and I'm just like, this is that. this is that. I'm gonna wear a frog jacket that's Skynet go back to Windows 97. That's really funny. This guy is straight up a zombie or an old man, either or. This guy reads at a 2nd grade level. This guy reads at a 1st grade level. This one, why didn't I give this guy a 2nd pair of eyes? Actually. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. There you go. 2nd pair of eyes. This guy, this one is mad that you parked in their parking space. You need to say that with a rhyme. Where's the rhyme cadence? I'm gonna wear a frog jacket. That makes Skynet go back to Windows 97. Where's the rhyme? Frog jacket doesn't rhyme with 97. I'm trying to think what words with rhymes with 97. 7. Yeah, there's nothing that rhymes with 7 in there. Wah. You're just not a visionary. It's true. Jacket in Skynet. Hold on. You're trying to have me rhyme jacket jacket was Skynet, which don't rhyme, by the way, and and 97. They're so not even okay. Okay. Maybe I'm just not a rapper. Maybe it ain't meant to be. Jacket in Skynet might work. Might work. Jacket Skynet. You can make it kind of do it. It's a stretch. 97 is crazy. That's nutso chango. All right, that's something else in its entirety. Okay, we got our Utyrannus. Look at him. Look at, he's so fluffy. He's so fluffy. Ooh. Let's give him just a little bit of like a little bit of fluff there too. There we go. Got some texture. Alrighty then. So now that we got Utyrannus done and out, we are now gonna go with the punk-haired punk lover themselves, a Margosaurus with the gelled hair. Love it. Let's do boo boo boo. Perfect. Hola, welcome back. With my exit, I can rhyme Dr. Jekyll, Patrol, Barrel, Peril, Heaven, and 97. Okay, Heaven 97 you can do. What did I predict again? I may be wise, but I'm not smart. I speak wise words, but I forget. Excuse me. Pizza! Yeah, let's go! I mean, listen, from a not totally gonna take the compliment standpoint, you're gonna have pizza eventually. What kind of pizza is it? Tell me. I guarantee you it's better than what I put on mine, which is like nothing. An abomination. That's what I put on my pizza. It's a crazy nonsense. Where should we put Punk? I'm thinking putting the Punk guy like up here in the frill. Can I like flip this? Can I like flip you? I don't know why it's facing the opposite way and it's throwing me off. All my guys are always facing left. It's weird that it's switched the other way. Vegetarian pizza with cream and mushrooms and other vegetables that I can't say in English. Got you. Okay. So probably some spinach on there. Probably some pepper, like some bell peppers on there maybe. That would be good. Yeah. Hell yeah. Cauliflower. Ooh, yeah, cauliflower. None of these things I would eat on a pizza. Just straight up, but I'm just here for you. Cauliflower is the ones that you can make mashed potatoes out of. It's like the white fluffy ones. That's cauliflower. So like I don't want to make this guy go to the right. Can I just like I could just do this. I guess I mean I could, but I really like this one. Well, describe it for me. Describe it. Artichoke? Is that what you're thinking of? Artichoke? I think we also have eggplant. If you were thinking purple. All right, we're gonna do something special. Yeah, artichoke. Let me pull it up just to see. Artichoke. This? Is this what you had on there? Kind of like some seasoned artichokes. Hell yeah. Good for you. Sounds very healthy. I mentioned it was very, very delicious. We are currently drawing honestly what I probably do. So it looks like it has like, wait a minute. Are the spikes? Okay, I have questions. I have questions with this guy because I'm seeing different versions of this. A Margosaurus, I'm probably saying this wrong. The frills on its back, is it just spikes? Is it like this guy? Is it like kind of like this where it's more like a sail kind of deal? Is it more like it's like underneath the skin like here? Because I was going off of this, but this has it so that the skin is covering the spikes. So what are we thinking with this guy? I think I've always drawn them with the spikes being outside the body as kind of like a defense mechanism. Kind of like this. It's kind of like where I was thinking. But I see stuff like that. That's too extra. But there's also the idea of like the spikes, it just has a much thicker neck, right? I also ate pizza with a burger sauce base. French juice crispy onions a week ago, so I don't see if both ends. You really did. You really did go both ends. Which was your favorite so far? So like something like that. I think we kind of have. It could really go both ways. I don't know. I do not know. I'm gonna say Margosaurus spines outside the body. Spikes are okay, cool. There's a guy on YouTube called Your Dinosaurs Are Wrong that actually goes into like really deep detail for this kind of stuff. Let's see here. I vaguely remember this is what he was saying, but I'm just scrolling through his video currently. So we're looking at like the ligaments. Which, by the way, if you want like accuracy dinosaur stuff, Your Dinosaurs Are Wrong is very good. Flavor for burger. I'm a very simple man. Cheese and ketchup only. Hey, Geese, welcome in. I'm trying to decide if the Amargasaurus's sails on the back of its neck is like accurate or not. You don't have any theropods. There could be some derived from any sort. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. No, with burger. No, bud. Okay, no, okay. All right, smartasses. It's a bun with meat and cheese and ketchup. Then nothing else. All right. Y'all and your smart mouths being like, oh, okay, just cheese and ketchup. Well, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. No. As in the toppings is just a cheeseburger with ketchup. That's it. No lettuce, tomato, mayo, or fries. However, what I will say, an egg with it is so good. An egg with a burger hits hard. Like, if you haven't tried it, it's so good. A breakfast burger will change your life. Oh, now I want a breakfast burger. Damn y'all. Damn y'all, dude. My mouth is literally watering. I had a burger like yesterday. Damn it. Oh, by the way, what he was arguing here, by the way, we'll talk back to the burger for a second, but I want to mention it. He's arguing that the sale is actually better as a defense mechanism, because if it was spikes, it would actually come from underneath and then go for like the throat, whereas the sails would be like a part that they would bite into, and then it would be less lethal for it to bite into it, and then it would just kind of like flake off, right? So that's what he was saying here. So we're gonna have it so it's a spine. It's not spine, a sail. Dipping fries and milkshake's really good. Meat and lettuce, tomato, ketchup, bacon, and cheese with the bun. See, I don't really like bacon on a burger. Bacon's good. Bacon's great. I like it. But on a burger, it kind of clashes a bit. Maybe it doesn't clash as much when it's like has the tomato and lettuce and stuff with it. But like it's at least the way that I eat it, bacon is not the right flavor profile. But I do like fries on the side. But there are burgers that I've had that have the fries in the burger that are also pretty good. You already had the fries in my ice cream. But yeah, no. Actually, funny enough, one of the reasons for this is a factoid for people who are old enough to drink. Actually, learning facts about drinking is not age restricted. The reason that greasy food tastes better while intoxicated is grease cuts the alcohol. So actually the foam on top of a beer is actually like you could put a fry and stir it and it would remove the foam. It's one of those neat little bar tricks that you can do. Yeah. It's very interesting that that's just like it's one of the reasons why you crave grease, because it cuts through the alcohol, and it really like makes it so your body can process it better. My favorite stream segment. Oh gosh, I will say, I remember one of the times where I got especially inebriated. It was like, again, I'm a recovering picky eater, but I remember apparently I'm much more adventurous in my food decisions when I'm intoxicated. Because I remember I saw on a menu, it was like a burger, but it was for charity. Whereas like if you ordered that burger, like half the money went to a particular charity. And I'm like, oh sweet, that's awesome. And it was like a jalapeno mac and cheese burger, which by the way, I don't know if I would have gone for originally, but I'm glad I did. It was really good. It slapped. Granted, I was a little tipsy at the time, so my memory might be a bit hazy of how good it actually was. But like, yeah. Remember, drink responsibly. I'm also not much of a drinker, and I don't recommend alcohol really for people. It's just not one of those things, you know? Yeah. Never been drunk before. Alcohol is too expensive to get drunk in this economy. It really is. especially if you are like me and like it takes a lot for you to get drunk. Because yo boy, have a bit of an Irish background that apparently has made my liver just crazy good at like keeping me sober. I have to go through like 7 or 8 shots before I get even close to getting drunk. It's a lot, which is that's expensive too, by the way. Spend all money on Magic the Gathering, can't go out the bars anymore. Amen, Geese. You and me both. Speaking of which, are you excited about Strixhaven that just came out? Because I know a lot of people are, but I've also seen some people just like write it off completely. We're gonna do a little bit of kind of like that. Kind of like whoop. For those that don't know, Strixhaven is like a set for Magic the Gathering. Also, I think socially drinking is fun with friends and people that you care about. Being drunk is overrated as hell. It's so overrated. Don't go for it. Just don't. Just go. Just no reason to push yourself that hard and push your body that hard. It's not a good time. It's whatever, right? So don't fall into that kind of peer pressure when you're in that kind of situation. I know everyone eventually does, especially if you end up going to college. But like, please be safe and you know, when it's legal, protect your drinks, protect yourself, protect your friends. It's as far as the things that people do recreationally, it's definitely the more dangerous kind of stuff, in my opinion. There are certain other acts that I would recommend before before drinking, but I will not name that here because that would be bad. Don't really care about the precons. I just know that they will be annoying to play against. Besides, I have my own evil project to pay for. Ooh, that's true. That's true. Thinking about the fucked up unicorn, right? Don't worry, that's on our list. You pay the deck, I'm guaranteed not to find anyone who will want to play me after that stunt, right? Oh gosh, do you pay the 1? It's like, cool, you want to be the most annoying guy on the table. Alright, it is time for ad break. So get some stretch, get some water, get some food, do what you need to do. And I'll see y'all in 3 minutes. Yeah, there's been some cards that were released that I have my eye on. I have been trying to finish so like I'm a chronic deck builder where I make decks, and I love to make decks in for Magic the Gathering and like different commander, specifically with the idea of commander, by the way. I love making it and thinking of cool interactions and cool synergies and things like that. And then I get it down to like 130 cards, and then I hit a stalemate of what to remove, and then it loses steam, and then it just sits on Architect for like forever. So is Augustine too? He's considered a game changer. Just the fact that all my spells cost -1 and their spells +1. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I can see it. Is the head of my drawing too small? Which head? Which drawing? Oh, sorry. You have the 1. I thought, for whatever reason, Ludo, I thought Scallion was the one who was asking. And I was like, which one? You drew like 5 guys. Is it too small? I think it might be a little bit too small. Like, if you're going to increase it, don't increase it much. That, or maybe add a little more. I think it feels like something's missing from the shoulder up. So I would either have like the crown be a little bit bigger, the head be a little bit bigger, or maybe add something to like the shoulder. Ooh, like maybe an asymmetric shoulder thing to kind of add a little bit of weight to the top of the model. I think would kind of go a long way. That's my interpretation. You can take that as you will. Problem is my win con currently is banking on the fact that opponents just rage quit. See, that's not a fun win con. That's just like, hey, what if I just kicked your butt, but I just poked you with this paper clip? No, that's a burn deck. That's just me taunting you and hoping that you run out of steam. Where's my guy? There he is. Fixed, kinda? Yeah. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah, whatever you did, it worked. I'm not really sure what you did, but you added more weight to the top that it seems to have worked fine. Well. Hey, the whole deck is no fun. I remind you the deck is a white-blue, so no fun is allowed. Hey, there's some pretty fun white-blue ones. There's one that I've been wanting to make a deck for that is whatever, I forget the name of it. It's the cat one. It's the cat dude where any counter on him automatically goes on any creatures at ETB. So like I've been wanting to do like a multiple counters deck with them where it's just like a bunch of like lifelink, indestructible, whatever, and then you just have all these guys that come in with all these extra counters that normally wouldn't, that like synergize really well. But white blue is so restrictive for that kind of stuff. They're not very good as far as giving counters, as far as like unique counters. Hey Piranha, welcome in. How are you doing? I thought I apparently have a talent for pissing off everyone accidentally. I mean, you're playing red. You're gonna hit somebody with combat phase. How are you doing, my guy? It's been a hot minute, but then again, I've been gone for a hot minute, so like, to each their own, right? How have you been, man? Also, Magma Code is pinned if you would like to join us. If not, don't worry about it. I'm kind of catching up on redeems currently. Pull this. Okay, cool. Good. I know the worms are winning, is all I'll say. No! Not the worms! Well, hopefully this will give you some time to kind of deworm your brain. Think of this as your weekly dewormer. Me, when I saw those little worms in the aquarium, so I changed the pH, thinking that it would save the fish. God, I still feel bad about that. Horse dewormer required. Well, call me. I don't know. What is the brand for horse dewormer? Yeah, you wouldn't expect a Jameson deck to be strong. Turns out ramp turn 3 deck is considered bracket 2. I try to aim my decks to be bracket 3. Bracket 3, definitely not bracket 4. I like to stay in bracket 3 if possible. Synergy matters, but like you're not here for a problem at. We're talking about Match at the Gathering. Hey, have you seen? What is 17? What is it? Yeah. Also, I'm also confused with the numbers. I read up now. 17,776. What is that? Is that a movie? Is that a series? Look it up. Trust. I'm not gonna have it be on stream, but I guess. What? An American football story written a serialized speculative fiction multimedia narrative. Got you. Okay. I'll check it out. All right, I'll check it out. You played Magic before? Hell yeah! We were just talking about the Strixhaven set, and if we're being excited for it. What's your take? Your games I just hear to hit funny JJJ voice lines not into Cave Turn 6. I mean, you can still just do that. Have you been hit with the JJ Infinite Mana deck? I mean, listen, I find... Okay, so I feel like I am a bit harsh when it comes to certain strategies in Magic. So I apologize if you fall under the lens of here, but I'm willing to be in the hot seat for this. I think infinite combos and infinite mana is lazy deck design. I don't think it's wrong, but where did our music go? Keep watching. Oh gosh. No, go back. I have this on loop. What do you... I made sure it was looped. Whatever, YouTube. Anyway, I don't judge you. Well, let me put it this way. I don't think it should be like against the rules. I don't think it should be banned. I don't think anything like that. But I think less of you as a deck builder if you have either of those things. If you have an infinite combo or infinite mana, I think less of you as a deck builder. I think you're lazy. I think you're either not creative enough or not smart enough to figure out a better way to do it. And that, like, listen, I have friends I fully love and support them, and I know they do it, and they know, I know they know that I judge them for it. I stopped playing almost 2 years ago, so it sounded like I'll stop playing at Phyrexia. Phyrexia is a really good place to start, though. Phyrexia fucking slapped. No, it's not infinite mana. It's just strategic. Gives treasure tokens for every creature with menace and attacks. My deck is entirely menace creatures, and it's just red, so I can just get a bunch of mana. Yeah, you just ramp super hard. That's different. Ramping super hard because your deck synergizes around the thing you want to do is different. Phyrexia is good. Oh, do you think Universe walks like a human? So Plant, there is a poorly constructed paleo, like in paleontology, that was for a woolly rhino, I think is what it said it was. That was like posted in the Discord not too long ago, and currently Scallion is obsessed with this. Just like someone put this together. Hold on. What was the name of it again? It was Meddingberg Unicorn. Let me throw this on stream for you. Here you go. There you are. This thing. Yeah. Someone put this together. It was just like, behold, a dinosaur. Though I'm planning a communism deck ever since I found the joys of playing the opponent's cards. Yeah, but only make sure you're in person for that, because if you try to do that virtually, people will strangle you. Yeah, behold a man. Ah, shit. Literally, this is... So, not only were we talking about this, but... Oh, this is what I wanted to mention earlier. I am thinking, because of how impactful this is on paleontology, I think it would be really funny to make it so that Idealist's first summon that he tried to get when he was learning how to do paleomancy is this guy. and then they're just like, no. No, you didn't quite do it right. You're almost there. You almost got it. No. Oh gosh. Doesn't have blunt fingernails is crazy. Oh my gosh. Strangle, they're gonna crucify you, cancel you on Twitter. Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh. But anyway, yeah. So as far as my takes, also, if you have a particular themed deck, but then your deck is centered around a win condition of a very strong card, you don't have that theme of a deck. You just have that strong card of a deck. Me looking at over at Food Chain. I also judge according to that as well. Now, my friends also judge me of just never finishing a deck, which is fair. I am forever in building deck hell, where I can never finish actually making a deck. And that is a real, I believe that's 100% on me, and I'm working on it. But man, on my list of priorities, finishing a Magic card deck is just not one of them. Your zombie deck? Hell yeah. Blue, black? There's been some really... Oh, actually, you know what, Piranha? There's been some really good zombie cards that's come out as of late, since Phyrexia. In particular, white, blue, black got some real good ones. Something to look into. Too late, already played your dragon. I am in agreement, though, that people who get mad at mill don't make good decks. Because if the only way you get your good cards is if you play them direct, like from the top of your deck, and you're just lucky to get it, you don't have enough recursion and you don't have enough removal. Now I will say the idea of, oh, you just need to have response to it is lazy defense. That's a lazy defense. Saying you put more removal in your deck does not fix the problem. It does kind of fix the problem, but it's a lazy defense. That's always saying, like, well, why don't, if that solved all my problems, then the 90% of my deck should just be removal. No, you should definitely play enough removal. You caught me, I'm lazy. I mean, yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. Like, a lot of people, I mean, what they do, like, there's different parts of what makes playing Magic fun for people. For me, it's the deck building. It's the strategy of putting together a deck that has really interesting synergies that people don't normally think about. Like, I'll give you an example. I know I stopped drawing, but I just play Toxic decks. No, Piranha. No, please. I just wish there was more way to interact with Toxic. In games where life gain is such a strong mechanic, that's why Toxic exists. Am I a fan of Toxic decks? Not really. I find Toxic decks not being able to be interacted with nearly well enough. I think there should be more interactions with it. Only removal I have is Planetary Annihilation. That's crazy. That's nuts. What was I saying? Crap. Lifesteal, you say? Yeah, drain decks. As long as you don't do the infinite combo. Oh yeah, so there are one of my favorite interactions, right? One of my favorite synergies is a Optimus Prime deck where there's a group of cards that's really old that at instant speed you can give themselves +1/-1. So what you do is right at the beginning of combat, or right before the combat, in response to Optimus Prime's trigger, you regardless of how many +1/+1s that guy has, you get him down all the way down to 1 toughness by doing it that way, and then Optimus Prime will automatically choose that creature to put the +1/+1 counters on. And I think that's such a cool interaction and cool synergy to put together. And it's a none of the recommended cards. It's just none of that. And when I find those little things, right, I'm just like, mwah, mwah, beautiful, lovely. So like when your boy builds decks, I go through the entire catalog of Magic the Gathering cards that have ever existed that have specific like keywords and stuff. I don't look at like the EDH rec stuff until well into the design process. I'm like, okay, what, maybe I missed something, and then I go through the recommended cards and be like, okay, cool, like I didn't consider this angle. I see people are putting these cards in, why do they do that? Like that's like a post thing that I would do versus like, okay, cool, we're just gonna comb through all of Magic the Gathering, which is what I like to do, which also means like building a deck takes at least a month. To be fair, it's 1 removal and 100 cards, so almost never play it, but when I do, yeah. And that's another thing too, where it's like, do you leave it all up to chance or do you tutor? Oh, we do the same thing. Hell yeah. Yeah. So like I love the building aspect, but because I look at it from a perspective of looking at everything and making unique combinations like that, like cutting cards becomes really difficult up until the last like 20 or 30 that need to get cut, and then I get stuck because everything works. So I haven't quite found the right way to go about cutting the last 20-30. I've tried the one that I tried the most recent that was helping was the you split your deck into a third, so like 33 cards, and then you specifically select to fill those 33 slots, and then you just do it 3 times and you're done. And that honestly really helped me as far as put things into perspective. But my current deck that I still want to finish, that I haven't and I don't think I will for the longest of times, is going to be Indoraptor Devour deck. It's full of Devour cards, so I make a bunch of little guys, and I have burn ETB effects, so they damage the opponent. So essentially it's a what is a Perforos? It's like a Perforos deck with a Devour payoff. So making a bunch of guys that ping the opponent, every opponent when they ETB, then eating them all with Devour, and then essentially just using the burn effect of those ETBs to give the blood thirst from the Indoraptor to then ping him. Because then I also have the pingers, where when I sacrifice the creatures that ETB'd and hurt everybody, when I Devour, I sacrifice those things that ETB'd and damaged, but for every death, I have pingers where they, whenever one of my creatures dies, I do damage to my Indoraptor. So I essentially poke my Indoraptor for every time something was devoured. So it's like, I then proc my Indoraptor like 8 times. So it's just like, who's gonna die? And it's so good, but it's so many moving parts that have to be put together that I'm like, I don't know how this is going to end up going, and I haven't gotten it to a point to it's 100 so I could figure out what the issue is. But I think the solution is tutors. I think that deck just requires tutors in order to function. Oh man. Oh gosh. But that's Magic the Gathering, baby. What you gonna do? Yeah, Galta Commander 97 lands 2 artifacts that add plus counters. No presence for 12 turns. That's hilarious. I find that really funny. Alright, there's our boy. We gave him the sail. He looks like he caught you. He accidentally walked in on you while you're in the bathroom. He was just like, all right. So that is the Megasaurus. So now is the Magdeburg Unicorn. Now it's this freaking monstrosity. Galta is 12-12 to be fair, so if you remove a few lanes, you could just add cars to make it unblockable. Yeah, you could. You could totally do that. Galta... I mean, Galta is essentially... Oh, there's also a deck that I really want to make is... I want to make a Roko. So, okay, so here's another one of my problem with deck building. Because there's so many... for different commanders, there's so many different kinds of decks that it's like, for one commander, I'll have like 7 ideas, different commander deck ideas. So, like, the Devour Indoraptor deck is one, right? It's definitely the most interesting, which is why it's the one that I'm like want to make. But I also have like a green fight deck for Indoraptor. I have a red ping deck for Indoraptor. I have a black sacrifice deck for where like power matters for Indoraptor. Like I have like 6 different Indoraptor decks. Oh, I also have a what was it called? It's like Dragon's Call Indoraptor, where it's about there's a spell, I think it's called Dragon's Call, I don't remember, where it does 3 damage to every opponent, and then if you've played 4 of these, then you get to search for a dragon and put it on the battlefield. And you can have any amount of those in your deck. So that one's cool, but like that one in particular kind of builds itself, so I'm not as interested, but it's definitely one of the stronger versions. Galt is useless in the case, but the idea is really amusing. It is amusing, especially in green when you can ramp to all hell. Oh, that's another thing. That's also a very, not a hot topic. What's the word I'm looking for? That's a very what's the phrase that people use when it's just like, hey, my opinion's probably gonna make you angry. Anyway, that on top of the infinite mana, etc. It's the putting staples in your deck is also lazy deck building. If you just throw 3 wishes into your green deck because it's a green, unpopular opinion, maybe unpopular, hot take. That's the word. Hot take. Hot take, if you put staples in your deck, that's lazy deck building. If you just throw 3 visits into a green deck because it's a green deck and you need ramp and you didn't put any other thought into it, that's lazy deck building, and I judge you for it. Did you put it in there because your commander? Yeah, put my soul ring. Exactly. I don't put soul rings in my deck. Ever. With some exceptions. There are some exceptions in which, unless the commander synergizes with Soul Ring, don't put it in. It's lazy deck building. And it's not interesting. I love your fan art, by the way, Ludo. I apologize, I'm going deep into Magic the Gathering hot takes. But I like it. You did a good job. It looks good. You do very well with clothes. I need to do better with clothes. Also, the Mama Dodo's on the bottom left, by the way, Foxy. So fucking funny. I love them. So good. Scallion, you're also doing super great. Everyone's doing amazing. Everyone's so good. Let's figure out how to do this freaking unicorn. Oh my gosh. All right. So I don't think I'm gonna have. Actually, there might be. No. I don't think I'm gonna get like a clear picture of what this looks like. The math one? Which one's that one? Which one's the math one? They do have like a good Devour payoff that I was eyeing that I need to throw in as a potential for the Indoraptor one. There was another Devour one that they added with the space one has been my favorite one in a hot while. That one added a lot of good stuff to that deck, tell you that much. In particular, the Terrobiosis, where you draw a card for every +1/+1 counter, one or more +1/+1 counters you add to something. And I'm like, cool. I Devour 5, put 10 +1/+1 counters on this guy, and I draw 10 cards. So freaking good, dude. It's XX and 2 blue, draws 2 in the power of X cards. It's XX, 2 blue as cost, and its player draws 2 to the power. Oh. That's actually surprising that was in Strixhaven. I would have thought that was like the number matters precon in the horror. I was so stoked for the horror set, by the way. I was so stoked, and there was a lot of really good cards in it. I'm gonna be very real. There's another deck that I'm making. I forget her name. It's the mono red commander, where whenever you do damage to exactly one specific creature, you copy it, and it does that much damage to all your opponents. It's that girl. That set had a lot of good things for her. It opens the gate for differential equations of Magic. You fool! There's always been room for differential equations in Magic. You fool! That's hilarious. I think this one's gonna be my favorite here. And then we are just gonna open this in new tab. This woolly rhino is it's so funny, dude. So funny. All right. Where do we want this? Where do we want the Abomination Unicorn? Left over here. The Spinosaurus is a bit... Should we put it near the Spinosaurus? Little's like, please don't put the weird unicorn near my Spinosaurus. Thanks. Let's do... Honestly, I want to put it near the Spinosaurus. Did you start with the horseshoe crabs? Not yet. I'm about to do the unicorn, and then I'm about to do the horseshoe crabs after that. I could barely calculate damage correctly. I struggled to do 7 times 3, which is 21, by the way, last Thursday, so I got frustrated at mocking, so I sent all 21 damage to a single player. That's the kind of spite that I love to see. Listen, I'm not gonna do anything to your goat, but by that I mean I'm not going to I'm not gonna like mess with it, but I am gonna make it smaller so I can make it work. Oh, you damn you, Ilarion, damn you to hell. All right, let's see what you end up doing here. Shit. All right, so of what I just opened, so 1, 2, 3 tabs of what I just opened. Magma's fine. Name of the hand, Xenomorph, tab closed. I think I needed to spell the word crater because that's just open, so that's 5. How about this one? This was, I was looking at animations done by Shinomiya, so let's close one of those. I already bookmarked that, that's fine. So 8, I Googled who made the Fugi reactives for some VTubers, which I just mentioned. 9, close that. I was looking up Jackie Druko because I forget who mentioned this, but I still want to keep that open because I want to check them out. The Bobby Pills Vermin, which by the way I did see Bobby Pills Vermin. Also, I have seen Jackie before, by the way. I have seen her stuff before. Very good. Also, I was looking at Toy House 10. a YouTube video that I still had open from before we started stream. 11. Looking up to see if I could increase my limit for posting on Blue Sky. 12. My VGen account. 13. And my post on YouTube to let people know we're alive. 14. 14 tabs. It was 14 tabs. So it was alright. It wasn't crazy. Should have done 21 damage to everybody who mocked you. That's really funny. How small are the tabs? Only 14. That's, yeah. That was it. I already recently cleaned out a little bit. 14 wasn't bad. But what I still have up that I'm not closing is 5 windows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tabs on one, 2 tabs on another, 3 tabs on another, Magma 1 that you're looking at now, and then 2 of the reference that I'm using to draw. So that's what I still have open that I'm not willing to close because I'm either actively utilizing it or I know it's things that I would be an absolute pain in the ass if I had to close it. Like my browser Discord, if I have to close that and re-sign in and have to verify via phone, it's not, it sucks. It sucks. Anyway, let's shrink Spino, yeah? Let's make some room. There you are. Shrink the Spino. There we are. Make some room. Boop, boop. Oh, I'm not that bad compared to other people. But I am pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. PayPal is a pain to log in. I haven't logged into my PayPal in a while. There are people who are a lot worse than I am. There are. Don't get me wrong. That doesn't excuse my behavior. It is not an excuse of the behavior. It's still a quote-unquote a problem. I don't really see it as a problem. How about making it life-sized? the Spino? This would be a huge blanket. Do you know how big this blanket would have to be if I made it life-size Spino? For real, I had to use PayPal recently for Steam. What a nightmare. Ugh. I have a business PayPal account, but I haven't had any income to go through that yet, so I haven't had to bother with it. Only thing I really know about PayPal is buybacks are like a bane to streamers' existence, which is why I don't have direct donation via Twitch, because people can buy back and bankrupt me. A life-size... Do you know how expensive a life-size Spino weighted blanket would be? Do you understand how big a Spinosaurus is? that blanket would fill your bedroom. Let's Google. I'm Googling it. I'm adding another tab. We're getting those numbers back up, baby. Spinosaurus size. People were saying 60, but that's definitely not the case anymore. Oh, maybe it is 60. 60 feet. Each time I take commissions, it's a pain to use. I've had like 20 tabs only when I'm writing a paper. That's so true though. That's real. That's real. Fuck the price tag totem hit. I'm already in deep debt with a little more. That's honestly, you know what, fair. Live your life. Be whimsical. Yeah, 16 meters. So 16 meters, that means you would need to be more than 16 meters in length, in size, because it would need to be on the blanket. The blanket itself Unless the blanket itself is the Spinosaurus, like the skin, like a skinned Stegosaurus. Like a queen-sized... What's the size of a queen-sized comforter? Size of queen in meters. So queen is about 1.5 meters. Oh, look, 2 meters on the long side. Let's assume long side, right? So if Spinosaurs are 16 meters and a queen size on the long side is 2 meters in length, then you need 8 queen-sized blankets in order to get that length of a blanket. So we're gonna go with the minimum of just meeting the 16 meters. It would still have to be more than that in order for it to be on the blanket. And what is the cost of a queen-sized weighted blanket? A weighted blanket for queen size is 60 by 80 what? 60 by 80 what? Feet? Hold on. Specs. Queen, what does that mean? Look at the full. Specifications. Let's just assume it's the same. Right? So, assuming it's the same size as a queen, it would be 40. Looks like the cheapest that I'm seeing is around like 43. So let's say 45. Let's say 40. Let's just round it to a nice even number. $45 for a queen size. So 45, assuming that you would need 8 queen size in order to do it, assuming that this isn't an exponential increase but a linear increase, we're looking at $360 for a weighted blanket, the size for 16 meter weighted blanket. That's actually really affordable. I thought it was gonna be thousands. I straight up thought it was gonna be thousands. That's actually like very doable. Don't get me wrong, $360 is a lot of money for a lot of people, but for a 16 meter weighted blanket, you can cut out to the shape though. I don't want just a massive rectangle. Wanted a movie with someone with a pet Spino. Oh, is there no like pet Spino? Like in any kind of media? Well, we're just gonna have to make it. It's like half or more than my monthly income. Yeah, but it's at least like savable. Like it's something that you could save up to buy. Like I thought it was like gonna be like $2,000 or $3,000. Like I thought it was gonna be like a full-on high-end PC level of like spending money to make this happen. But like I thought weighted blankets were more than like $45 for a queen. I think that's the biggest thing, is that it was like $45 for a queen size weighted blanket is actually not bad at all. Yeah, you can send me a thing. Send me a thing, please. Yeah, I've been really struggling with my night job, and I'm gonna continue struggling for a while, unfortunately. But I'm gonna make it work. So if you're wondering, and by the way, I'm still working on opening commissions. I think I decided to move forward with probably coffee is how I'm gonna do commissions. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm making some foogies for friends and stuff, so I can use that as promotional material. for commission stuff. So looking forward to doing that. But yeah, it's been rough because the night shifts, the new night shift job isn't respecting the boundaries that I put into so that I can balance everything. So it's kind of like, is the not respecting the boundaries unintentional or is it malicious? And it's basically this upcoming Friday will be the decision on that of like, oh, okay, so it's malicious. Today I slept 3 hours. I can't do that. After you reach a certain age, you just can't. You just can't do it. You have been enlightened. Oh, let's see it. Ooh, I'm excited. That's awesome, dude. I'm loving the silhouette. I'm excited. Hell yeah. Did you draw this or are you getting it commissioned? I need to draw more chibis to use as common refs. Go for it. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can. Okay, we're gonna have to make this. We're gonna have to draw the whole thing. There you go. Oh, honestly, we're just gonna do like this, and then. Little bit of then kind of like that. And then we do that. I think we need like a little bit of that. A little bit of a hump there. And then let's flesh out the horn a little bit. And then then got the bone there. Get the eye and the nose. And then there he is. There he is. There's the guy. My God, he's brilliant. I swear this is like it's the shoulder into the leg bones is crazy. In all his glory, the shoulder blade into the direct leg bones. Holy crap. That's funny. All right. So now it is time for what everyone was waiting for. 14 horseshoe crabs. Uh-oh, I copied this onto... oh no. Oh, well, this has 4 different dinosaurs on it, including the Spinosaur. So, you know what? We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it on there. We'll change things around later if we have to. How should I sit? How would it sit? Bold of you to think that it even has the ability to sit. All right, so 14. Here we go. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 'Put one here. 10. 'Oopsies. 11. 12. 13. And last, but certainly not least, what would be a good last one? 14. We'll go right here. Okay. 14. You're welcome to count. Because I'm not. That is 14. So now let's open up StreamerBot for our blanket. Let's add them. So 14, we have plus 29. It did sound like we were doing squats, but in a way we were. In a way we were. Uh-oh. Crap. I deleted the stuff without... crap. Okay, what did we end up doing today? I deleted the names. Tyrannus. What was the other one that we did? It was Baryonyx. It was Baryonyx, Utyrannus. I got a Margosaurus. Are Utyrannus correct? Let me double check this. Because your boy is gonna... I did spell it wrong. How dare I? There was another N. And then... and the unicorn. Here we go. Boop. And honestly, we're gonna put the unicorn. So we got a Margosaurus, Utyrannus, Baryonyx, and the unicorn, and then all 14 of the crabs. Am I missing anything that we did today? Is that it? I think that is correct. I think that's it. Look at all the little they look like little specks. And don't worry, we'll rearrange things and resize things once we finalize the blanket. But for now, we're making it as small as possible to make room for all the other stuff, and then we're gonna resize things when we're done. All right. Boop. And if you do ! blanket now, it is updated. I also need to copy this. And we're going to do this. I think the one that we currently have does not have a blank one. Am I correct? Okay, good. Just making sure. Okay, so now, boop, boom, save, that's saved. We're gonna save this as a PNG, put it on my drive. And then, oh, I should probably, where is this dude? I forgot that we're gonna have to make sure that there's none. Are there any other overlapping? There is. Where is our crab? There we go. There we go. Anything else? Anything else that's crazy? I'm not seeing anything else on here that is causing any problems. I think we're good. Boop. Save as PNG. Send it over to the drive, and let's throw it in. Boop, doop, boop, doop, boop, doop, boop. Hopefully y'all had fun today. I know I did. I really do love our Sunday chill days where we just yap and draw together. Which is really why I want to make sure I don't have Saturday Saturday stuff. I have a shift tonight, which sucks, but what you gonna do? Okay, so now let me know if me talking about the shift stuff is annoying y'all, because I will stop. But I just want y'all to know what's going on in my life. And boop. And boop. And there it is. Look at it. Guys, is there something on the blanket? Guys? I got a call from my landlord, and they told me that we might have a horseshoe crab infestation. I don't know. I don't see it. Oh gosh. All right, so let's look and see who is online that we can potentially raid into. Because it is time to... Ooh, we raided into Hot Apple Kai before, so let's do it again. I really like her stuff, so let's do that. All right. Let's make sure that everything is good to go. Making sure. Okay. All right. We will go to raid Hot Apple Kai. All right. Let's make sure that we're not going to raid straight into an ad.
Gloria, I feel
we were going to go right into an ad, but we can wait 20 seconds. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me here today. It was wonderful having you. I appreciate you stopping by. As always, thank you for the art. I'll post this on the Discord as well as on the YouTube community stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, as far as the stream for tomorrow, won't happen because it's gonna be a back-to-back for tonight and tomorrow. I hope that I'll be able to be good enough for a Tuesday stream. We will see. Stick around for the raid. It was wonderful seeing all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and if I do not see you in the next few days, I hope you have a wonderful week as well. Okay, stick around for the raid if you can. All right, bye-bye. See everybody. Bye.
Hey, Scoot Up, your art with Vixen